ready yet.
Well, hello and welcome everyone to the Poison Flurry Rogue and my little friend this Poison Trap over there. So, of course we are running anti-phase for this build. It gives us a chance to proc these powerful Poison Novas, also some life on hit which makes us pretty tanky, and some nice attack speed boost. Next we are running Shroud of Candorus, gives us some nice bonus to damage and movement speed, also shadow resistance, which fixes that resistance type for us, and +4 to Dark Shroud, which makes us tankier. Also, when we evade, we deal some AoE damage and we pull enemies together. And that's actually really useful, because the more enemies we attack at the same time, the higher the chance to proc more overlapping Poison Novas. So that combo basically increases our damage by a lot. Next we have Fist of Fate. These give us a nice lucky hit bonus, which we need to proc more Poison Novas, so that's a no-brainer. Then we are running Pants with double armor, so we can fix our armor issues, some dex and some life also a freeze chance. And we are running the Umbrous aspect, the Umbrous Doom aspect, so we can get Dark Shrouds when we critically hit an enemy. And when we have Dark Shrouds, we evade and then we pull enemies together, so that's the combo. On the boots we have Dex, Life, Movement Speed, also attacks reduce evade cooldown, so we can use this more often, and also a stun chance and a reduction to the evade cooldown to offset the increase from Shroud of Candorus a little bit. And we're also running the Noxious Eyes aspect, so we can deal more poison damage against frozen enemies. On the crossbow we have Dex, Life and damage over time. Also Caltrops duration, so we use Caltrops with a damage increaser, and the longer they last, the more damage we deal. And we deal more damage per Dark Shroud, which is capped at 5, so we get a nice chunk of damage out of this one. We also have the Creeping Death aspect, which gives us bonus damage against crowd-controlled enemies. On the amulet we have percentage dex, attack speed, which we don't need anymore because we are overcapped already. Unstable elixirs, which is more damage when we use a potion. Second wind, which gives us a barrier when we heal ourselves. And of course Dark Shroud damage. And we have the conceited aspect, so when we have a barrier we deal more damage, and we basically have barrier active all the time, or almost all the time, so that's really good. Then on the ring here we have dexterity, life and attack speed. Again, we don't need that much attack speed anymore, but I can't re-roll it. We also have poison imbuement last for more hits, so that's really good, because then we can deal more poison damage with one use of poison imbuement, and with every hit of it we have a small chance to reduce the cooldown by a little bit, so this can help us reusing poison imbuement over and over. Also additional Dark Shroud damage, and the aspect that makes Flurry hit in a circle around you, so you can hit enemies behind you and left and right of you, and that basically increases our clear speed. Then we have the Ring of Starless Skies. It gives us everything we need: all res, attack speed, crit chance and lucky hit chance, also a damage boost and a reduction to our Flurry costs, so really good item. Next we have Doombringer. Gives us some damage, all stats, some damage reduction, but especially a lot of life. So that means we can remove some of our red rubies right here and replace them with these nice green Don Emeraldos, which give us more dexterity. And then we have Umbra Crux, gives us dex and a bit of damage, and a bit of cooldown reduction for our poison trap. Also +4 to innovation. So innovation basically is a lucky hit chance to give ourselves some energy, so we can fix our energy issues with that, and together with Starless Skies. And then we have the unique effect. So when we use a subterfuge ability, in this case our poison nova, our poison trap, we summon a totem, and the totem gets summoned at our mouse point. So over here And this totem is actually really neat because it's attackable. When you attack it, you can proc these green effects, and that's our poison novas. So you're not attacking one enemy, you're attacking two enemies when the totem is out, and that means we can proc more poison novas and therefore increase our DPS. So that's really good against single targets and bosses. So yeah, that's why this item is so great in my opinion. Another good item that you can use is a weapon with the bursting venoms aspect. So when you're poison imbued, you have a chance to drop a toxic pool of poison that deals AoE damage, and you basically have infinite poison imbuement while you're standing in that poison puddle. So that means more poison damage that you can apply, and poison imbuement itself has a lucky hit chance, so we have more poison imbuments ticking that can proc Andy Face's poison novas. And we also can add caltrop size in this case, so we have an easier time catching bosses in our caltrops, and of course dark shot damage and yeah, dex life damage over time, so for even more additive damage. Tyrael is also a nice pick. It gives us movement speed, fixes our resists, and gives us a ton of damage reduction. Also lets us shoot out these little laser beams. They add a little bit of extra damage to our build. It's also a nice pick, but we won't have the pull. But your resistance are fixed easily, so you could basically use skulls in your jewelry, and then you could forgo one of the armor rolls and pick something else. Yeah, when it comes to tempering on the pants. Also, Flicker Step is an interesting choice because we get a lot of ultimate damage from this one, and this build uses this passive and the Paragon board that gives us a nice chunk of multiplicative damage once we used an ultimate. And with these boots, that passive is completely capped out. Also, we get lightning resistance, so that would fix lightning rest for us, so we could easily focus on the other resistance types in order to fix them. Also some nice DR from close enemies. And when we when we evade through enemies, we reduce the ultimate cooldowns by 4 seconds. So when we do that a couple of times, we can easily reduce the cooldown of our death trap. Furthermore, when we attack, we reduce the cooldown of evade by 2.5 seconds. So when we look at these boots, these have only 1.5 seconds, and Flicker Step has more, so we can reduce the pulling effect of Conjurers even more. So let me quickly demonstrate that. So we use our ultimate, and then we dodge, and dodge. Sorry, I mean evade. And it's up again. So you can basically keep up the 45% damage boost from the Paragon board that lasts 10 seconds with this combo all the time. Next, let's have a look at the specialization. We use preparation, so every 75 energy we spend reduces our ulti cooldown by 5. And when we use an ultimate, we get a 15% DR for also 10 seconds. So with Flicker Steps, we can keep that one up all the time as well. So that's also a valid option for this build. But we have less dex and less life, but get more damage reduction out of it. So it's also a valid option in my opinion. Now let's have a quick look at our abilities. We pick 2 basic ability points, or put 2 points into basic abilities, we don't need them. 3 points into Close DR, 1 into Flurry, into the vulnerability upgrade, and into improved Flurry, so we heal ourselves. And we also dash to our enemies, which lets us zip around on the battlefield all the time. It's amazing. Then 1 point into Shadow Step, into the upgrade for Daze and vulnerability, and into this for stun and cooldown reduction, so we can use it every 6 seconds. And we have this nice glyph in the Paragon board. When we use an agility skill, we get a 6-second damage buff. Then we have caltrops. Pick the first upgrade, so we get this nice damage increase. And I also picked chilled caltrops because it synergizes well with the noxious ice aspect. So when we have chilled enemies and we poison them, then they get chilled even more. So that's a neat little bonus. Also 3 points in unstable elixirs, and I get additional points from the amulet. So when I use a potion, I stun everything around me, and I get a 42 multiplicative damage bonus for 10 seconds. That one is huge. Then 5 points into Dark Shroud, the first upgrade, and I picked this one, so when the Dark Shroud gets removed, I heal. Should you lack crit chance a little bit, you could pick this one for more crit chance, so you can proc Dark Shrouds with your critical hit more consistently. Then I have 1 point in Poison Trap. The first upgrade knocks enemies down, and this one gives us more poison damage against enemies standing inside our Poison Trap. Then I have 3 points in Exploit for more damage against high and low health enemies, and Malice, which gives us 9% bonus damage against vulnerable and 9% against knocked down enemies, and luckily Poison Trap knocks down enemies, so that's really good. Then we have 1 point in Poison Imbuement, 1 in the upgrade that gives us some energy when we use it, so that also helps us keeping our energy up. And this upgrade, so we have, as mentioned before, a small chance to reset the cooldown by a little bit when we hit enemies with a poisoned imbued ability. Then we use Deadly Venom for more poison damage, Debilitating Toxins for more damage reduction against poisoned enemies, and Alchemical Advantage, which gives us attack speed and lucky hit chance. And I wish I had a bonus to this skill on my amulet, because this one is huge. Then Frigid Finesse for more damage against chilled and frozen enemies. And here we pick Death Trap and the first upgrade, so it pulls enemies together. So this also helps with pulling. It's also really useful. And then a few points into Innovation. You can experiment with how many points you need in this one. I am okay with a total of 5. This one keeps me going all the time when it comes to, fixing my energy costs. Alchemist's Fortune gives us more lucky hit for non-physical damage, so basically poison imbuement. And Second Wind, well, when we spend 100 energy, we gain a massive barrier, so the more points you have in that, the better. And as an ultimate passive, we use Momentum. It gives us 30% DR, max energy, energy regen and movement speed, and a whooping 50% multiplicative bonus damage. Once we are at 10 stacks, of course, and we are always at 10 stacks, so this is just free damage and it's a really amazing passive. Next, let's have a look at the Paragon board. So we start down here, of course. We pick Damage Life and Life Resists here, and as a first glyph, I pick Kenny because we get more bonus damage, we get more non-physical bonus damage, and it scales with Intelligence, and we can reach these int nodes very quickly without spending a lot of other points here, so that's pretty good. Then as a first board I picked Exploit Weakness, and as a glyph I use Control for more damage against crowd controlled enemies, some elite damage here, some life here, and of course the legendary node, so we deal more damage against vulnerable enemies. Then we have the No Witness board. As mentioned before, this one gives us more damage once we used an ultimate. This one looks a bit weak at the moment, but when you pick Flicker Step, this one maxes out. As a glyph, we use Fluidity. So when we cast an agility skill, we deal more damage and we gain more energy regen for 6 seconds. So that's basically our Shadow Step that we use. And it buffs these damage nodes here and the life nodes here. Also some ultimate damage here to buff this one a little bit. And then we also go into the next board. This is Deadly Ambush. We pick some life here. And as a glyph, we pick Bane, so we deal we get more poison damage, and we have a small chance to deal twice as much poison damage, and we get some nice damage reduction from trapped enemies over here. So this board is Cheap Shot, so we have more damage against crowd controlled enemies, also damage reduction against elites here, and we use the Tracker Glyph for more poison duration and a little bit more damage against poisoned enemies. And the last board that we use is Eldritch Bounty. So when we attack with an imbued ability, we increase our damage imbuement type. In this case, of course, poison imbuement. Also some non-physical damage here, and as a glyph I use ambush because it increases our damage against trapped enemies, and we have 2 traps that we use, so that helps us a lot in this build. So if you find this build interesting, then yeah, give it a try. It's pretty fast, it's pretty tanky, it deals pretty good damage, and yeah, I'm having a lot of fun playing this currently. So yeah, that being said, give it a try and have a nice day. Bye bye.